Knowledge is power.
Hey guys, what's up? GGNG here, and welcome back to the Dotabuff Top 100 series. Today's episode is going to be Brewmaster, and this is the rank number 6 brew on Dotabuff. 2,400 games played, 55% win rate. Really impressive stats. 2,400 games is an obscene amount of games, by the way, for one hero. That's probably more games than quite a few of you have ever played of Dota 2, and he has that many games just on Brewmaster. So we're going to trust this guy. We're going to assume that he knows what he's doing and he's figured out all of the sort of cool tricks you can do with Brewmaster. But anyway, he plays Brewmaster as a mid hero. Pretty standard lane to play him in. You used to see him in the off lane sometimes, but it's not so common anymore, and sometimes he goes safe lane, but that's usually when in professional games he gets a really bad matchup mid and they sort of want to put him in a good lane. But mid is where you'll be playing him most of the time. So his starting items, he did go for 2 Ironwood branches and he's gonna rush a bottle. Luckily one of his supports was nice enough to pull him a Tango. And he does go for Thunderclap at level 1. Pretty interesting actually. I see a lot of pandas go for passive first, just because they like the guaranteed crit and evasion for lane control. But it did get nerfed in the last patch, so the cooldown used to be 10 at all seconds for the guaranteed proc, and now it's like 16 scaling down to 10 from levels 1 to 4. So he does have level 1 Thunderclap. Allows him to secure CS with the spell. Pretty decent damage. It's 100 damage level 1. So definitely good enough to secure last hits and make sure you don't get denied for the fast bottle. The AoE of Thunderclap is actually very big. A lot bigger than a lot of mid laners expect it if they're not used to playing against Panda. So you can just run up and get a Thunderclap off on ranged heroes if they aren't paying attention. And he does get his bottle. Gonna go for Drunken Brawler level 2. And probably gonna go back for the Max Thunderclap. I really haven't seen any Panda builds that don't go for Max Thunderclap. And probably for good reason, since it is such a good spell. Notice he's using Thunderclap to secure last hits. No need to really save too much mana since you're not gonna kill a sniper. Even if you do have full mana. Unless he's super out of position. But that's sort of just assuming your opponent's going to play terribly, which is probably something you shouldn't do. Interestingly, he does go for Drunken Haze level 3. So opting to have that sort of extra lane control, I'm assuming he's just going to spam it on the sniper to make sure that he can't last hit or deny as well. I wonder if this will actually help him, I don't want to say win his lane, but at least break even, because not a lot of heroes are able to win against sniper mid. Alright, so he's just going to spam Drunken Haze on the sniper and probably going to make his life difficult. Already he's missed a last hit from that Drunken Haze, so pretty nice. It is only 50 mana as well, so very spammable despite your small mana pool. And he's going to go for Thunderclap level 4. Going to max that out first. And sending himself boots on the courier. Interestingly, not going to get a stout shield. I don't really think he needs it. He does have Drunken Haze for the reduced right click harass, and he does have Drunken Brawler as well. But the shrapnel spam is going to be quite annoying. I didn't really talk too much about his lane control and lane mechanics. Panda is pretty simple to lane with, I think. You just want to Thunderclap for creeps and try to get the enemy hero if they're out of position along with creeps. And you just want to use your guaranteed critical proc either on the hero for harass, but don't wait too long because it is 16 seconds. You do just want to be using your auto attacks for last hits as well. And there's the regular lane control stuff for mid. And it looks like he's going to go for this sniper. Drunken Haze, clap, get a guaranteed crit, and unfortunately I don't think it's enough damage. Yeah, Good support rotation by the Rubik, and these guys are both dead. So that's a bit unfortunate. The early level in Drunken Haze does allow him to gank a little bit better if supports rotate to his lane. He has that little bit of extra slow for chasing down the mid laner, but Panda's kill potential pre-6 is not really that great. He really requires opponents to be super out of position so you can chase them down with your critical strike once you clap them. And you need quite a bit of space to chase them down. Alright, so level 5, level 3 clap, nothing out of the ordinary. And we'll see what item build he goes for. A lot of pandas, a lot of mid pandas just go for the straight blink. They don't upgrade their boots at all, which is just a very gank heavy build. Some people like to go treads just to farm a little faster and have that nice tread switching with your bottle, because Panda is quite a mana starved hero. He has really low mana pool and his spells are decently high mana cost. So usually you can only get a clap and a split off before you're out of mana. But with treads it does make it a bit easier. Alright, so he's level 6. We'll see how he uses his first split. Usually when you're level 6, that is when you have the most kill potential. You sort of just want to run up to the mid laner, clap him, hit him, and then split. And you should secure an easy kill unless it's a hero like an Ember or like a Storm Spirit who can get away really quickly. But it's definitely worth it at 6 minutes, 5 minutes to just use your split for a kill on the enemy mid laner. Just because split is sort of a big team fight spell, but there aren't going to be any team fights breaking out at 5 minutes. And you probably won't need it for the first like 8 or 9 minutes usually, because most lanes are static, and to really successfully gank a lane you need dagger. You're not just going to run up, clap, and split unless you have really nice support initiation, like an Earthshaker or an arrow or something. But looks like he's gonna clear this stack with his Nyx. So pretty nicely done. This Nyx scouting out the axe stacking the jungle, and this is some good economy damage. He actually uses the split to farm the stack. Again, as I was saying, using split this early on isn't really a huge loss because there aren't going to be many team fights and you really need your dagger to pull off a successful gank. So probably worth it. That stack was a lot of gold, and that's a lot of experience denied to the axe as well. The reason why he split for it to do extra damage is just because the Fire Panda gives immolation, like damage over time, in an area around it, so it just helps him clear the stack a little faster. I guess he didn't think the clap would be enough before the axe came, and he was right. But they both end up going down because of that commitment. And this axe seems a little mad that this stack was taken. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it's Russian for "you fuckers took my stack." Okay, so item pickups. He finishes his magic wand. Again, Panda is a pretty mana-starved hero. I guess the wand is just for a little bit extra mana, in case he needs sort of the burst mana to pop his ult. It does delay his dagger by a little bit though, but I don't think he cares too much. Alright, so, whoa, actually, something I didn't notice. He went for Drunken Haze level 7 and didn't go for Clap. I'm sort of questioning this. We'll see what the scaling on Thunderclap is. Okay, so let's see. Goes up by 20 mana to 150 and gets 50 more damage and 10% more slow. So I don't think it makes a huge difference, since level 7 to level 8 is not too much experience. Level 8 to level 9 is the sort of biggest experience gap in the early game, 1200, but I think level 7 to level 8 is only like 750, so it's not too much. But I guess just because the mana cost is too high for level 4 clap, or it could have just been a misclick and I'm sort of overanalyzing. But as we see a gank on this OD, the sad part is if Panda gets imprisoned once, he actually can't use his spells. He only has enough mana for one spell if he gets imprisoned, and just barely has enough mana for clap. So I assume this will be a problem sometime during this game. If he ever gets imprisoned, not going to be able to use his spells. I was so busy talking about that I didn't talk about the Panda micro. So actually let's watch that again because it's pretty important. Okay, so he leaves the OD over here. Knows he's probably dead since he imprisoned himself. Split. And he's going to run forward. He immediately uses his Wind Walk on the Wind Panda, which is quite impressive. And gonna Cyclone. His Earth Panda is in range. Dispel the Cyclone, toss the boulder. And he's even sort of canceling his attack animation with his pandas so that they don't fall too far behind, which is pretty nice. So for sort of controlling your Panda micro, what I suggest you guys do to improve it is just go to a practice lobby, use your split, and then memorize what hotkeys you need to press, like what your hotkeys are for your spells. I don't know if you use Legacy or if you've changed your hotkeys or whatever, but just know which hotkeys you have to press to use what spells, and also memorize the tab pattern of the split. So when you split, it goes Earth, Wind, Fire, I think. So just know that if you want to stun immediately, there is no tabbing. And if you need to like tab to your Fire Panda, it's like 2 clicks. Tap to your Wind Panda, it's 1 click. Whatever. Just so that you know and you have like complete control over what you're microing. Alright, so he's really close to his dagger. 10 minutes, not terrible timing. And pretty decent CS so far, 51. Against a sniper, that's not too bad. And he did get the huge stack from the axe, so farming pretty well. We're gonna see what build he goes for this game. I've watched a few of his other games, and he really favors going Blink into Scepter, and we'll talk about that when we actually see him build his items. So he's gonna get the Blink first. Blink is really good, just because you want to be able to blink Thunderclap. Usually aren't able to run up to a person and just Thunderclap them. They're usually very wary of you getting close. So the Blink just helps with that. Guarantees that you get a good positioning for your ultimate, so you don't have to waste too much time chasing people around. And just overall, just a good item. You can also blink out of Split when it ends. Pretty much a guaranteed escape if they have no instant damage. He miss-blinks, he claps before he blinks. I don't think it would have mattered too much because the Astral was pretty instant, and he gets black holed on top of that as well. So that's just the TP into death. Quite unfortunate. I don't think he knew the Rubik had black hole, and he was probably not expecting the OD just to imprison him instantly and leave him with no mana to split. Alright, so bad showcase of the Blink there, but we'll probably see some good Blink plays later on in the game. Right, so another thing I want to talk about is having 2 points into Haze and then 1 point into Drunken Brawler. So some people like to go for just clap and then max passive because they don't think they have the mana to spam Haze, which is understandable, I think. But I think Haze is a pretty good spell for just 50 mana. It's not too high in mana cost. You can afford to use it and use your other spells as well if you do have a bottle or some mana item. And the reason why I think Drunken Haze is a pretty, Drunken Brawler, your passive, is a pretty good value point is because of the way the guaranteed critical works. If you look at the actual ability, the damage doesn't go up at all. It's just the percent chance to dodge and crit. And the guaranteed crit cooldown goes down from 16 to 10, as I said before. But most of the time when you're using your crit, it's you blink in, you clap, you hit them once for the guaranteed crit, and then you split. And then the way split works is that it lasts 15 seconds level 1. So during that split time, your hero, the Brewmaster, is actually not in the game at all, so it doesn't count as you hitting anything. So your passive actually has time to cool down. And since it's 15 seconds for your ultimate duration, and 16 seconds for the guaranteed crit cooldown, if you hit them before your ultimate, as we see a panda split here, just immediately blink, split, and immediate boulder toss. Doesn't really have to have any delay in terms of microing his pandas. He knows exactly what to use. And that's probably just a result of him playing the hero so much. And again, using a split like that for a fight this early on, not terribly important. It's not at the stage of the game where people actually start to sort of group up and try to push towers or take objectives yet, which is where you really want your split on off cooldown. And unfortunately, big fight here gets caught by the axe. That gets OD ulted. But as I was saying, the guaranteed crit thing. Passive is 16 seconds. Ultimate is 15 seconds. So you blink, you hit for the guaranteed crit, it's on cooldown. And then when you split, it's 15 seconds. So after the split duration, your your passive is back up again because it was cooling down during the time you were in ultimate. Sorry if that took really long to explain. It didn't make much sense. But basically, when you end your split, you have another crit up. That's guaranteed. But maxing passive is still pretty good, just because it helps you do a bit more sustained DPS outside of your ultimate. And it does look like he went back for max passive as well. So ignore most of my explanation for the past like minute or so, or 2 minutes, because he is maxing passive. But I just gave you guys a reason why level 1 passive is not a terrible idea. Though maxing passive is really good for farming, which is probably the best reason for getting it. Not for fighting, but for farming. Okay, so it looks like he is going for Scepter. And the popular build nowadays is to go for Vlad's and then AC. Sort of you go this... Okay, he's gonna blink in, ultimate, immediately toss the OD, and then head straight for the axe. Good micro on the Cyclone for the Juggernaut, making sure that he can't do anything for the majority of the fight. And oh, it looks like he has a Shadow Blade, so he's not gonna get him. So let's talk about his sort of target priority during that fight. He blinked in, split, went straight for the OD, even waited out the Astral just to get the boulder toss on him. And then he made sure the OD was stunned and went for the axe. So in terms of who you want to focus in your split, usually it's the supports and the heroes that don't have a really good way of escaping or sort of cutting you around. Just because you're immune to magic and supports can't really right-click you in the pandas, especially early game. No one can really get rid of your pandas unless you're like a troll or something who's OP all stages of the game. But you want to focus your pandas on like squishy heroes that do a lot in team fights but can't really escape from you. And then you want to Cyclone the hero that's most dangerous and hardest to bring down. So that would be the Juggernaut, right? He has really high damage output. He's hard to bring down because of spin and heal. And you just don't want to deal with him for the majority of the fight. And he sicked his Fire Panda and Earth Panda on the axe, actually. Probably just to make sure he couldn't blink around and call his teammates. So good control by the panda there. And that's really what you are. You're a very control-heavy hero. It looks like this Juggernaut is just getting away with the Shadow Blade. No one's buying Dust. But yeah, back to the Aghanim Scepter. So the common item build is Vlad's AC now, just because it helps you farm really fast, or a lot faster than you would with a Scepter, and it helps you sort of buff your team up and contribute outside of your ultimate, because your ultimate does fall off quite a bit late game where people sort of right click your pandas down. So enough about that. He blinks in, claps, doesn't use the guaranteed crit because the axe can just call him, and then he wouldn't be able to split. So he just blinks, claps, splits, and looks like he's gonna get the axe here. And they are gonna get the axe, but unfortunately there's 5 heroes up here, so he is dead. He's been pretty good about using a spell immediately after his split ends though, which is really important against the Rubik. If you don't have the mana, you're sort of fucked, but as soon as you get out of split, just clap or something, so that Rubik doesn't steal your split. That's one of the best spells for him to steal. But anyways, so Vlad's AC, really good carry build. The reason why Panda falls off late game is because his pandas die really easily to right click once people get enough items. And then they become sort of useless. All it is really just a stun from Boulder and a Cyclone, and they usually just die to a few right clicks. But Vlad's, I think, is not that bad of a late game item. It gives you extra control and extra nuke damage, which is really nice. And it makes your Fire Panda actually do quite a bit more damage. The problem with getting Ags is that you don't farm fast at all, which is where the Vlad's AC comes in. It makes you be able to sustain and farm a lot faster. But he's gonna go for the Aghanim Scepter. The other top panda player does this as well. The rank 3 panda, who has like 1700 games, also likes to go for Ags pretty much every game. And the rest of the top 10 are pro players, or players in the professional division, who have like 60 games on the hero. But if the like 2 players who have a combined 4,000 games like to go Aghanim Scepter on the panda, I'm not going to argue too much. I do see why it's really good. It gives you an extra 300 nuke damage and a lot of extra right click. So again, going for the squishy heroes with a split, just blink, clap, and he actually... We'll watch that again. So he's going to blink right next to him, hit him, clap, and then use the Boulder Toss after he splits, and just right click him down. Someone's TPing in, and oh wow, OD actually killed his Wind Panda so fast. And his split's gonna end here, and we'll see if he blinks out. Oh, that was a bit cheeky, but he knew the axe wasn't near enough to call him, and the OD was gonna miss on his first hit because of Drunken Brawler, so he actually hit him and clapped before he blinked, which is, I'd say that's a risky play. Most people will just blink immediately, but I guess he just wants to be annoying towards the enemy team. Right, but that was the proper, like proper combo on the sniper. You blink in, you clap, you hit them with your guaranteed crit, and then you split. The reason why he hasn't been doing it in really big team fights is because sometimes he blinks on the axe, and then you can't do that against the axe because the axe will just call you if you're in melee range for a hit. And sometimes he's blinking near the Rubik, and you definitely can't do that against the Rubik because he has an instant lift, which sort of fucks your initiation. And Blitzpan is going really deep. What is he doing? That's like 4 or 5 heroes. Yeah, he's dead. sort of too YOLO here, and the troll's YOLOing in with him. Classic pub play. You make a bad play, I just follow you, and then I blame you afterwards because, hey, I'm just following you, right? It's not my fault if I make a bad play, if you also make a bad play. I'm just like, just lemmings. Following each other off the cliff. Okay, whatever. Right, so he doesn't do it near the axe, doesn't do it near the Rubik, and he has to be a little bit careful doing it near the OD, because if he's fast enough, he can definitely get an astral off before the clap hit split. But doing it near the sniper, definitely the right way to go about things. Has no instant disable, has no silence or anything like that, and just wants to get the most damage out on the sniper. Alright, so we'll see what he goes for after the Scepter. Again, Scepter I don't think is a terrible late game item. I think it's actually pretty decent. It gives you another Drunken Haze, which is really good against carries without BKB. It gives you another Clap, which is 300 more nuke damage, which is pretty nice. In terms of Scepter upgrades, there are a lot of Scepter upgrades that give less than 300 AoE damage as just a straight boost. I know this is sort of extremely different, but if you think of like Zeus Ultimate or something, the Scepter upgrade gives you plus 140 damage, I think, on your ultimate, and in AoE, if you want to call it an AoE, but it always hits 5 heroes, so I guess it's vastly different. But if you think of it just like straight damage and assume that Clap hits all 5 heroes, the Scepter damage is actually quite nice in terms of just nuke damage. So it's pretty strong, just the problem is you don't farm. And wow, that's a really edge of the AoE split. And he does have the double split off, and I think the sniper is just giving up on life. Yeah. So, just standing there waiting to die. Cycloning up the OD, and he's probably just gonna run away here. His team is quite split up. So the last 2 splits have been used on sniper, which is sort of an indication of what you want to be doing with your splits. As I said before, you go for the squishy heroes who have no escape. So in this game, Rubik, Sniper are probably your main targets. You want to disable the hard to kill heroes who do a lot in team fights. So he's mostly been cycloning the Axe and Juggernaut. Sometimes he cyclones the OD because he can use Astral to save people. And he does a lot of damage as well. And if your micro is really good, which this guy's micro is pretty impressive, notice that when he blinks splits, he immediately claps and then bowler tosses, and he's able to use Drunken Haze as well, all within like 2 seconds. I know it's sort of hard to notice, but we'll sort of slow it down for the next split and see his spell usage. But yeah, you want to get all your spells off for the split. In terms of cooldowns for your split spells, you can get 2 boulder tosses off and 2 cyclones off within the duration of your split. So that's a lot of control against the enemy team. Also, don't forget to use your Dispel magic. It dispels a lot of buffs for your allies as well. You can use it on certain debuffs and certain like buffs on the enemy as well. You can dispel runes with it. If anyone's like double damage or hasted in a team fight, it's pretty nice. And this OD is super out of position. What's he doing? Pubs, man. I'm so confused, but I guess Radiant is winning. Oh my god. But anyways, looks like he's gonna go for Shadow Blade next. Shadow Blade is actually not a terrible item. It gives you another form of initiation in case you want to save your blink. And the Shadow Blade and Drunken Brawler do stack, I think. They don't stack like you can't crit on the Shadow Blade damage, but you get the Shadow Blade damage and the crit at the same time, which is a lot of burst physical damage, I guess. And if Shadow Blade didn't have a fade time, it would be pretty cool to As soon as you come out of split, you go invisible, so they don't know where you are. But I guess you can do that with a blink as well. Yeah, so as I was talking about before, Aghanim Scepter doesn't really help you farm. If you were paying attention to the last hits, sorry I didn't point this out, but he had around 80 last hits at 15 minutes, and it's been over 10 minutes now, and he has 111 last hits. So in the past like 10 or so minutes, he's gotten 30 last hits, which is really not what you want from a farming mid hero, or a mid hero who's just gonna try to transition to a late game. So if he had a Vlad's or an Ace or one AC or something, he would definitely have more farm. But he's been fighting a lot, which is really good. He's gonna clap, split. Didn't bother with the hit since the Rubik was near him, and he's gonna chase after the sniper, just completely ignoring the other heroes. He knows who his priority is, the one who does the most damage, who has no way of getting away from the hasted pandas. So it looks like he's going to be going for AC. Going to pick up the Hyperstone first. So he is going to go somewhat semi-carry. Not going to go full utility, all in on his ultimate. I know some pandas go for Aghanims, and then because of that build, they feel like they need to sort of not be a late game hero, or sort of all in on their ultimate since they went this Scepter item. So they'll go something like Refresher Shivas, like BKB, just like full on team fight with your ultimate and nothing else. But it looks like this guy is sort of trying to find a balance between team fighting and sort of being a semi-carry, which is pretty nice. I do like the AC pickup. It's going to help his team a lot against all this physical damage from the Sniper Troll and... sorry, Sniper Juggernaut and Axe. I got my spin heroes confused. Alright, so he's waiting on the initiation. And we'll see if when he goes. He actually doesn't have his ultimate, so he's really sort of cautious about going in. Probably the right call. Panda without his ultimate, especially with this build, is really not strong. Though he did miss a blink clap, I guess that happens to everyone. So now he has his ultimate, he's ready to fight, but his team took a fight without Panda ultimate in the mid game. Probably not the smartest idea. And looks like he's gonna have his AC soon actually, so farm not terrible. Pretty nice. It does help that he has 10 kills and 6 assists though. And Juggernaut gonna run at him. And he's gonna have to use split defensively. Well, actually, he's still doing really well with the sort of micro and target priority. Even though the Juggernaut was just under his T3, he knows that he's really, really hard to kill. So he just immediately cyclones him. He can't bowler toss him because of the spin. And just cyclones him, bowler tosses the Rubik, and just runs after him. So very impressive target priority by this Panda. And oh, Winter Wyvern ultimate plus Enigma. Pretty scary combo. Another thing that's really good about Panda, in case you guys are struggling in your pubs this patch, he's very good against all these sort of right-clicking agility heroes. He has really good control with his ultimate, can dominate the mid game and make sure these carries aren't able to farm past the lightning stage. And he's really good with his Drunken Brawler, forces them to get BKBs or MKBs. Items that people usually don't want to get on heroes like Juggernaut or Troll. He also is pretty good against them late game because of his evasion and critical strike. Can actually fight pretty decently if he goes this armor build. Alright, so I guess they're just gonna farm now, try to fight around his ultimate, which is something you should do, for sure, for sure. He's sort of like a TIE Hunter, where his ultimate is sort of this big cooldown spell that you just want to fight around, just because it helps your team fight so much. Basically, just makes it so that one or two heroes are taken out of the fight, and then you can sort of chase down other heroes and do a lot of damage and provide control for your team. So good gank here. Immediately just splits just to guarantee that there's no counterplay for the sniper. And Cyclone the axe when he's calling. Dispel immediately once the call's ending so that this axe can be focused down. And his micro has been pretty impressive. So actually, we're going to rewind this and we'll look at his spell usage. We're actually going to slow this down. So, Drunken Haze. Splitting because he has no idea where the enemy heroes are, and he doesn't want to risk any like lift into call into OD ultimate. Uses his second second clap on a sniper to ensure the kill. Sees the axe call in 2 heroes with blade mail. Uses a cyclone on him. Calls over, dispels him so that the axe can be focused in the middle of 3 heroes. Tosses a second boulder. Micros his pandas to kill the healing ward, making sure that the axe is gonna die. Second clap. Notice how he's sort of zoning the juggernaut with his pandas. He can't really come close, and they bring down the axe as well. And then he blinks out of his ultimate so that the Rubik can't lift him or steal his ultimate with the OD. So pretty impressive chain of events there. And I'm just gonna Drunken Haze the Rubik at the end to make sure he's gonna be chased down. And we'll watch this normal speed again. And still no one's buying dust. They do have sentries though, so I guess it's not too bad. So playing Panda just requires you to do a lot of things at once. You need to make sure that you know who you're going to focus with your pandas, who you're going to control, what you're going to do to every hero. Just keep that in mind. Don't try to think on the fly during a team fight. You sort of have to do, like, for situations where the axe was calling 2 heroes, you want to cyclone him, obviously. But you sort of want to keep in mind who the highest value targets are. Like, he knows every fight he either wants to cyclone the axe juggernaut or the OD. He wants to sort of boulder toss the Rubik or sniper and clap on them. And Drunken Haze, one of the carries as well. And we'll see what item he goes for next. Looks like it is a refresher. So again, refresher is pretty good with your Aghanim Scepter. I don't like just going axe refresher no carry at all, because you seem to be pretty useless once the game hits like 40 minutes or so. Carries sort of just kill your pandas in 2 hits. But he does have an AC, which really helps. The way the AC aura works around the split is that your Earth Panda carries all the auras. So if you have Vlad's AC drums, and this axe just went in, force snapping out. And unfortunately he can't blink so far, but just gonna Drunken Haze and split immediately. Again, running straight towards the sniper. Cyclone to make sure that he can't run away too far. And, oh, he does get flogged here a little bit. Gets the boulder toss off. And this sniper is really fast. But Drunken Haze to make sure he's slowed down. Cyclone before his ultimate ends, just so his team can catch up and he can catch up. And this is a dead sniper. So during that whole fight, the sniper and Juggernaut were sort of zoned out from the rest of his team, just because he was running his pandas at them. And the sniper didn't do anything that fight. He spent the whole fight running away from the pandas. So that's I want to see how much net worth he has. That's a 9,000 net worth hero, their 3rd most farmed hero, just doing nothing for the entire fight. And he's still able to provide some control. He was able to sort of zone the Juggernaut, put a Drunken Haze on him, things like that. So really good. Again, I'm sort of overstating this, but really good, just like target priority, knowing what to do with his spells. But yeah, as I was talking about the AC, your auras center around your Earth Panda, so even things like Radiance will get carried by Earth Panda, Gem of True Sight, things like that. And the reason why you like doing sort of this aura build on Panda, it's just because the Earth Panda does carry the auras. So you have a free like 15 seconds of auras, just being like a huge sort of utility tank for your team, and making sure your team is constantly buffed throughout the team fight. Again, running straight at the sniper, you cannot do anything. It's time to run, sniper. You're not going to be able to fight against 3 pandas by yourself. And oh, actually, nice save by the OD. But again, this is 4 heroes trying to save the sniper, and he doesn't even live. And his team is here now. Unfortunately, he does go down. And they do trade 2 for 1, but they do get racks while he was providing all that sort of teamfight disruption and control for his team. Troll and Wyvern and Nyx sort of were just able to take racks for free. And looks like he is going to pick up, what is this? Boots of Travel, so sort of late game boot upgrade, just to make sure he has the ability to join any team fight on the map in case he's not with his team. Not too much to talk about there. There's not too much synergy with Panda and Boots of Travel, only on your teammates, because you can Boots of Travel to the split pandas, which is, I think that's a bit ridiculous that you can TP to a split panda, but it is in the game, so if your teammates ever have Boots of Travel, you can tell them to do that.
A dominant performance.
What I really don't like about this panda, though, is that he does not look around the map when he's dead. Maybe he's AFKing or something, but I just find this unacceptable. This is totally unrelated to any Brewmaster play, but when you're dead, please look around the map. It just helps you sort of maintain information about the enemy's items, maintain information about like where they farmed, what lanes they've been pushing, sort of what spells might be used in case they use some spells on creeps, or even like little skirmishes. His team was fighting top, and he didn't look at any of the spells that were being used, which I think is a huge, like, I don't understand how people like don't want to know what spells are being used in a team fight, even if you're dead, because for that next team fight you need to know which spells are up. But yeah, that was sort of just my little rant. If you're dead, please use that time effectively. Just because you're not like controlling your hero doesn't mean you can't be playing the game. Alright, so Boots of Travel looks like he's actually going to commit to the refresher, and his team is doing pretty well. By no means winning handedly, but still pretty nice. Split, and this Juggernaut and OD are so out of position. Again, some more Russian talk, and he's really good about using Tornado and then recognizing immediately that he needs to cancel it when his team is close enough. I know a lot of pandas like sort of wait around, and a lot of them don't even use Dispel Magic to dispel your Tornado, which is something you really should be doing. Alright, so this game looks to be ending soon. They have 3 down with a Troll, and since Troll's an OP hero, this is probably racks and maybe even thrown. Mistimes the cop, but not a huge deal. The game's pretty much over. Alright, so that was the Panda game. And sort of gloss over what we've learned. For your initiation combo, you blink, you clap, you hit, and you split if you can. You don't want to do this against heroes with instant initiation or escape. I sort of just want to just blink, clap, and split, or just blink, split if they have really good disables, like a Rubik or a Lion with instant hex. For laning, just getting clapped to secure last hits. Try to farm with your bottle, farm with your blink as your core. And then you go for a Scepter if you're sort of in a team fighting sort of playstyle, and you go Vlad's AC if you're farming. This guy does go Vlad's in some games when he can't really do anything in the mid game. And then after Ags or Vlad's, AC should be your item build of choice. And after that, you can sort of judge what to go for. Sometimes Refresher is good, sometimes BKB. Sometimes you need to like really carry and go Abyssal. Or Sheep is pretty good as well. Shiva's, all the aura items are pretty nice on Panda. And the rest of it is mostly just micro and target focusing. As you saw in this game, his micro really on point. Definitely knows how to use his spells correctly. Knows how to cancel a tornado with a spell. Knows how to use Windwalk to catch up to people. Sort of microing his pandas even to cancel attack animation when he's hitting people. And sorry about that. And he knows who to focus during fights, what spells to use on who, which is the most important thing. Alright, I think that about covers most of it. Next episode, I'm gonna do Brood, but I've had people suggest that I should take hero requests. So if you want to see a hero that's not Broodmother, and I've been trying to do most of these alphabetically, so I'm just going straight A to Z. But the rate I'm going, it's gonna be finished like next year or something. I'm doing like trying to do 2 a week, so 50 weeks, about a year. So it'll be about like 10 months before I finish this series. If you want to see a hero that's not Broodmother, leave a comment below, and I'll try to pick the hero that gets the most suggestions. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.